If you've been getting burned in the early round picks of fantasy football and you really just want to create a solid base or just get a couple players that really are not going to bust and underperform this year, you are on the right video, because in this video I'm going to give you guys my list of the top 5 players this year that are completely bust proof. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video and get any kind of value from it, go ahead and drop a like. I really would appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. But you guys know me, I don't like to waste any time, so let's get into the first thing about this video. First, let's go ahead and understand the parameters of this video first. I'm not going to be giving you guys like Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler because they're early first round picks for a reason. So players like that won't be in this video, but I'm also not going to be talking about super late round guys, because who cares if they're bust proof at that point if you're getting over the 10th round pick. So they're going to be early to mid round picks that I'm talking about here that you can rely on as a solid starter in your fantasy football league that is not going to bust and lose you a league. Starting out with Bijan Robinson. Off the jump, you might be saying, yo, there is no way we're trusting a rookie running back going inside the first 7 or 8 picks in fantasy football to not bust this year. But let me tell you why you could be wrong about that. We know that the Falcons are a super run heavy team, and honestly, Bijan Robinson is probably the front runner to have the most carries in the NFL this season. So his volume and workload alone are going to make him a super safe pick. On top of that fact, he was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft as a running back, which really does not happen very often, and he's going to a pretty good offense now. It's definitely improved a lot from Marcus Mariota. I mean, when we look at fantasy football trends, we cannot stick to last year's numbers and situations too much. And if you did that, you could say that you want to avoid this offense completely, because Marcus Mariota, by all means, was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. And if Desmond Ridder can be anything but decent, I mean, this offense is already going to improve just off that fact. But we can go ahead and look into this backfield. I mean, Tyler Algier, a rookie last year, had over 200 carries on the season, and he was nowhere near as talented as Bijan Robinson is going to be, but he still got volume and work in this backfield. Bijan Robinson can easily fall into a situation where he sees 300 plus carries and over 1,500 yards just on volume alone, which again, I've been saying a lot, but it really makes him a safe pick. Even if he is a rookie, he's in the right situation. He's honestly probably the safest player in the draft this year and has pretty high upside as well, which is good if you're looking for safe picks. The next player that is completely bust proof right now is Nick Chubb, who a lot of people have been hyping up, and he's been moving up the draft boards. Over the past month, he's moved up about 3 draft spots, going as the RB4 off the board right now. And the biggest knock on his record over the past few fantasy football seasons is that Kareem Hunt is in this backfield and there's really no room here. And that's kind of reminding me of the Zeke and Tony Pollard situation in Dallas in the previous years. I mean, it's a known fact that if you're splitting the backfield 50-50 or 60-40, you only have such a high ceiling to produce if you have to split that backfield. But now there is no Kareem Hunt and pretty much no backup running back to take any carries from Nick Chubb. The RB2 behind Nick Chubb is Jerome Ford, who pretty much exclusively operates as a kick return guy. Now, I do think he could be a significant handcuff or late round stash, but he's not going to be anywhere near to what Kareem Hunt was getting in this offense. I mean, Nick Chubb is going to take the majority of this work, and there really is no RB2 behind him. Even with Kareem Hunt in the backfield, he was still a consistent and solid running back on a 60% carry share. And when you're looking at his ADP at the end of the first or start of the second round, he's way safer than Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, or Ramondre Stevenson are. But you could make the case that, hey, this team was absolutely terrible with Deshaun Watson under center. But to that, I say from week 13 and on, with Deshaun Watson and Kareem Hunt in this backfield, he still averaged around 11 fantasy points a game, which isn't eye-catching whatsoever, but he did improve every single one of those games and weeks as Deshaun Watson and his offense was improving in general. So I really don't think that is too big of a knock on him. I think this offense and Deshaun Watson has to improve this year. He was just thrown into this offense, I think, a week before his very first game. I mean, you could tell that he was rusty. Now he's getting a full offseason to work with the team. There's no way that he gets worse. And honestly, this offense is going to improve. He is really bust-proof in my opinion if you are looking for a safe running back. The next running back I want to give you on this list is Saquon Barkley. Only if, and this is a big disclaimer here, only if Saquon Barkley solidifies a contract with the Giants in the coming weeks before the season actually starts. As of right now, there's a lot of uncertainty, but if he gets a contract solidified come fantasy football season, I'm taking him. If the season comes and there's no rumors about him holding out, he signs a contract, everybody's happy, all that, I'll take him. As of right now, he's a super risky pick, but this is just something I want to give you guys to monitor for the fantasy football season. So far, we're going to have to wait for the storm to clear. If he does sign, he's a super safe guy, especially with his PPR pass catching upside. But with that being said, there really isn't much to say about him until we get the news, so I'm going to keep him here for you guys. But the next player on this list is going to be Mr. Consistent himself, Kirk Cousins. If you don't feel like getting a quarterback super early in the draft, or you just feel like waiting for one, Kirk Kirk Cousins is the perfect safe quarterback you want to be picking up. He's averaged a top 11 quarterback finish over the past 4 years and top 15 quarterback finish for what feels like 7 or 8 years. He's thrown for over 4,000 passing yards and 25 passing touchdowns for the past 8 seasons, which is the highest active streak in the NFL. Another addition here is that he keeps throwing more passes every single year. Let me read off to you these past 4 years. In 2019, he had 444 passing yards. In 2020, he had 526. In 2021, he jumped to 561. And last year in 2022, he had 643 passing attempts. And this is all thanks to the coaching staff that they've made changes to. They have a really pass-heavy offense now, especially with all of the weapons they have in this offense. Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson, Justin Jefferson, obviously. Everything in this offense is saying to pass. And that's exactly what they've been doing. Kirk Cousins was top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns last season, and I don't see a reason why that should slow down. But one sneaky stat I do want to give you guys to sell you even more on Kirk Cousins is that the Vikings averaged almost 26 points to opposing teams last year, which is the 3rd most by defensive points given up. And if opposing teams are scoring almost 30 on them, they're going to have to pass a lot to keep in these games. So for a 9th round pick, that makes him really, really good value and a pretty bust-proof player. He probably won't have insane, massive games, but you know what you're getting with him, and if you want a safe guy, he is the epitome of that. But the next player on this bust-proof list is easily T. Higgins. I love his super high floor every single year. He might not have the highest ceilings, but I mean, if you're looking for a solid guy, he is that. I love him as a super safe pick. He might not have as high of a ceiling as other guys drafted around his ADP, but in this Bengals offense, I mean, he's a guaranteed lock for some fantasy production. I mean, we know exactly what he's going to do every single year. He's averaged over 100 targets a game for the past 3 seasons and over 1,000 yards for those past 3 seasons as the wide receiver 2 behind Jamar Chase. And there's always that narrative that if anything were to happen to Jamar Chase, he would instantly be thrown into, I mean, probably a top 5 to 7 fantasy wide receiver every single week. But regardless of that, he seems to be a lock for yardage. And he isn't the biggest touchdown scorer, and this is partly because Jamar Chase is just a touchdown hog in the red zone. I mean, all the red zone targets are going to Jamar Chase, but he's still managed to finish as a top 15 wide receiver every single year, regardless of the lack of touchdowns that he scores. And if anything, not having a high touchdown count is a good thing for him, because in the top 15 wide receivers, all of the other wide receivers around his name is going to be more touchdown reliant guys. So if he were to happen to just score a couple more touchdowns, I mean, he'd probably boost himself up into a top 10 wide receiver season. And already having this value without any touchdowns makes him super safe and a bust-proof player in my eyes. On top of this, we know the Bengals offense. Joe Burrow is a really pass-heavy guy. He's probably going to get 30 plus touchdowns again this season. So another really good offense to tie yourself to. But that will finish off my top 5 bust-proof players for fantasy football. If you enjoyed this video, I really hope you did. Drop a like and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but I assume if you made it this far, you already are. More videos like this will be coming soon though, so I appreciate you guys hopping in this one.